here because I feel like you can see into my house. I'm getting staged right now because there's someone across the street from me on a balcony. I feel like you can see me talking to the camera and I feel really weird. Hi everyone, it's Lauren and we are halfway through 2015, so I thought I would show you the top books that I have read so far this year. This was an interesting exercise for me because I was going through Goodreads to kind of remind myself of everything I'd read and the star rating I'd given everything. And it's interesting looking back on your reading because there's books in this video that I maybe didn't give 5 stars to, and then there's books I did give 5 stars to that I feel like actually they weren't my favourites. And I think when you give something a rating straight after you've read it, it's more based on what your expectation was going in and then what actually happened after you read it, rather than taking a really wide view of everything you've read. I wasn't necessarily going to do a top 5, but I actually happened to have 5 books that I feel like I wanted to show you today. So these aren't in order of preference or anything, these are just in the order that I happen to read them in. So the first book I read that made it onto my favourites list is How to Be Both by Ali Smith. This was shortlisted for the Man Booker Prize. She's just won the Women's Prize for Fiction, which made me so happy because she is just one of my favourite authors ever. This book is written in 2 halves. You have a section set now and a section set in like Renaissance Italy, and depending on the copy of the book you've got, you could have the modern section first or you could have the historical section first. I read this modern section, then past section. That's the way my book was printed, and as soon as I finished it I knew that I definitely wanted to reread this book and maybe read it the other way around. And I'm not talking about rereading it like in a couple of years, like rereading it like I wanted to reread it straight away because it was so good. The main link between the 2 sections is that you've got a young girl now whose mother has just died and she's remembering a holiday that she took to Italy to look at some frescoes that had been painted. And then the other half is about the painter who painted those. So that's the main link, but there's obviously, with Ali Smith, it's just lots of different links. Just beautiful, just so layered, and I loved it. My next fave, I think I read like straight after, and it's We're All Completely Beside Ourselves by Karen Joy Fowler. Yeah. The big thing about this book is that there's a twist, and the twist happens quite early on, and so I can't really talk about it too much because I would ruin it. I do feel, however, apart from the fact that I loved the twist, is that I think I was enjoying it anyway. The voice of her main character in this is very like sort of sardonic and witty, and I thought it was really funny, and I was just really enjoying her prose. And then when you had the twist, I was just like, oh, I loved it. I just found it really heartbreaking. Although I would say I've recommended this to everyone because I really enjoyed it, and I don't think anyone has loved it as much as I did. I was like, Mum, read this, and she's going, yeah, okay, it was okay. I was like, what do you mean it was okay? Like, best book ever. So I don't know if just me, I just really connected with this book and I really enjoyed it. But despite the fact that this was also shortlisted for the Man Booker Prize, I feel like people don't love it as much, but I don't know if that's just, you know, no one read it on BookTube, so BookTube is the whole universe. My third favourite book of 2015 so far is Station 11 by Emily St John Mandel. This is a post-apocalyptic novel. Most of the people have been wiped out by a huge pandemic, and we follow a group of surviving actors and musicians who go from settlement to settlement performing Shakespeare for the people who are left. I thought this was going to be more about acting than it actually was. We kind of jump between eras, between like the days leading up to the outbreak, and then just start following them, and then I think it's like 15 years in the future when everyone's kind of down with how this new civilization is going to work. And the thing I loved most about it, I think, is how it showed how we were all linked together. But I found it to be such a realistically imagined world that even though it wasn't scary, like there wasn't like loads of threats happening, but it was scary because I was like, oh my god, this is what it would be like. This could happen, and it just really made me appreciate my life and appreciate the ways civilization is knitted together and how everybody helps out in different ways, and you just kind of need everyone. But it's just really beautifully written as well, and there's just so much in it, and I just thought it was about a group of travelling actors, and it's really not. It's about so much more than that. And then this next one was a bit of an unexpected joy for me. I did think I would like it, but not as much as I did, and that is A Room of One's Own by Virginia Woolf. This was based on a lecture that Virginia Woolf gave about women in fiction and the reasons why women's fiction is maybe so different, and then maybe the situation that the Bronte sisters and Jane Austen and George Eliot found themselves in meant that they would never be able to write something as inspiring as like War and Peace. I loved how well she argued everything, and she did it without coming across really bitterly. And I was just, I mean, not that I was surprised that Virginia Woolf was eloquent, and I just thought it was wonderful. And as I was reading it, I was folding over the corners of pages where I was like, oh, that's a really good paragraph. And then I was just like, also that, and I was like tapping everything, like this is good, this is good, this is good. I'm really pleased as well because this has helped me get back into Virginia Woolf a little bit. I read Mrs. Dalloway a long while ago and I just was not prepared for that style of writing, like when I read it. And I think I'm way more prepared for that kind of modernism now, but reading this just really helped me awaken, like, oh god, yeah, she's a really good writer, I should read more of her stuff. And then my most recent favourite book of 2015 was A Spool of Beaufred by Anne Tyler. Spool of Beaufred. I can't say this title, I just can't. This is the story of the Witchamp family who are in America, or seemingly very, very normal, and it's kind of told backwards. So you have like a mum, dad and their children, and you sort of have their story, then it goes back to how the mum and dad met, and then it goes back to how the dad's parents met. And one of the things I really liked about it is that there were family secrets and revelations that as you read it you found out, but it wasn't presented to you as a reader in a really dramatic, uncovering way. It was more just that you were getting to know the family better, and lots of families might have situations or things that happened in the past that most people in the street, if you just looked at the family, wouldn't know, wouldn't think about. But it doesn't mean that it has to be a really melodramatic thing that they've got this family secret. It's just that if you got to know them better, you would know about it, but if you didn't, then you wouldn't. And I think it was just such a, it felt like a really humble book. Like it was going, oh, this is just about a family, but it was really, really very good and just thoroughly enjoyable. As I was reading it, I was just enjoying it. I just wanted to know about the family. I just thought it was very, very well done, and I loved the structure of it because you would have a story of the mum and dad saying, oh, you know, this is how we met, maybe in the first half, and then later on you would actually see that event happening, and as a kind of objective reader watching the events unfold, you're kind of like, oh, that's like your perspective on this event is very different to how I feel now that I'm seeing it happen and not you telling your children as a story. And it just felt very true to life but still incredibly interesting. I just really liked it, basically. So there we go, that's my top 5, I suppose, of what I've read in 2015 so far. What are your favourite books that you've read? Have you read any of these? It'd be interesting to see how many of these are still like my favourites at the end of the year. It's quite nice to kind of look back and track what you've been reading, because I feel like I've read some of these books ages ago and I'm really pleased that they're still like my favourites. So thanks for watching and I'll see you in my next video. Bye! I do think this is because a lot of these versions try and make Heathcliff into someone that Cathy could reasonably love rather than him being crazy and mean, which is what he is in the book. Which I don't think you really need to do. I don't think you need him. You don't need the audience to